Hello TikTokers, I'm the Christian Relationship Counsellor, and as you know I'm doing a new channel and I'm actually new full stop with regard to this subject. I was just inspired to start the channel, and I thought I was aiming it at Christians who are taken advantage of, but I think I'm more or less aiming it for anybody who feels as though they can benefit from it. So in Matthew 14:57, Jesus told the congregation in the synagogue, "A prophet is honoured everywhere except in his own hometown and among his family." And so he did a few miracles there because of their unbelief. And what I wrote was, how will happiness come into the life of someone who is full of unbelief? Will God give somebody a loving partner if they don't believe they deserve one, or if they don't believe that there's a person like that out there? Some people have tarred everyone with the same brush. They are so hurt, they are so bitter, they are so resentful. Nobody gets a chance. Now, why I'm talking about this is because I was talking to somebody the other day, and they was in this big house, like a single woman living in a big house by herself, no pets, nothing. And I said to her, so aren't you thinking about somebody in your life? And she said, "Oh, no," really angry. No, I don't want anybody in my life. I don't want anybody telling me what to do. I don't want to have to answer to anyone. I'm quite happy by myself. And I said to her, but why do you think that having somebody in your life means that they're going to tell you what to do? Oh, well, that's what happened before. But that doesn't have to happen now. And that was 20 years ago. And I'm thinking to myself, you're in a big house on your own, that the home feels quite sterile. It doesn't feel as though there's a lot of joy and love there. Quite happy, lying down, watching Netflix, watching the TV. And I thought how unsatisfying that is. But maybe for her and for many people like her, that is the choice that they've decided, afraid to love again, afraid to be hurt again, afraid for anyone to touch them again. And so they live this sterile life, convincing themselves that this is what they want, when really they are afraid. They're afraid that if they get into another relationship, they're going to get hurt. They're afraid that if they put a lot of energy into a relationship, that somebody's going to abuse them or take advantage of them. And so they say, I'm just going to be on my own. I don't want to have any part of it. How can God create miracles for you? How can you open the door to love if you've shut it out? And the funny thing is that people who live alone, and yes, they can say, oh, I've got my grandkids, that's enough. I've got a friend who I see once a month, that's enough. Some people have got their dogs, and maybe if they've got their dogs, that is enough. But for people who don't have anyone, to be honest, I think most people will have a family relative around, which compensates. But God forbid that, well, it's a dodgy one, because you can have somebody in your life and that person passes and you're still left alone. But I think where I'm coming from is fearing love, fearing getting into a relationship, being afraid of getting hurt. I think that's where I'm coming from. When your decisions are created out of fear. And I think that is, where I'm coming from, because it was obvious in this particular circumstance, and in a lot of women that I talk to, that the reason why they are on their own is because of a bad experience, and they just don't want to go back there. They just don't want to take the risk, which means that they really are tarring everyone with the same brush. They really do believe that there's no good men out there. And that's not true. We all know there's good and bad everywhere. And the world is so vast as well. Are you just thinking about your little locality? Or is it just because you can't be bothered? You can't be bothered to make the effort? When trust is broken, it's very, very difficult. It's very, very difficult to build up that trust. And people who have broken your trust make it difficult for everybody else. Nobody wants to take the risk. So we've got a lot of people, more so than ever, living on their own. We've got men living on their own because a lot of them, women have either moved in or they've taken advantage of them in some way, and they just don't want to go there. They're afraid that, especially if they've established themselves with a home or something, they're afraid that if they bring a woman in, she's going to take over the house, or the court is in favour of the woman, so she'll get the house and take it away from him, so he stays on his own. Or if he meets a woman, he prefers to move in with that woman, and then he has his house and he rents it out. But whatever it is, it's like relationships built out of fear. No two people are getting together these days out of love and trust, being open to love. You need to be open to love in order to receive it. You cannot go around, well, I can't say you cannot go around, people do go around with closed hearts and closed minds. And it's such a shame, because I think about that lady and I think about, I could just visualize life in her home. I could visualize somebody coming in and her getting up and maybe going to put something in the oven for him, putting it on the table, and him holding her and giving her a kiss, and, maybe the grandkids are running around, and I could imagine her happy. But as she's sullen, and there is no way she is open. She has literally shut herself off. And so, like God says, if you're an unbeliever, he's not going to create miracles for you. If you do not believe there's somebody good out there for you, you're not going to find somebody good out there for you. It's just not going to happen. So what else did I say? Yes, when she was talking about she didn't want to change anything, she likes things just the way they are. Yes, you do need to compromise a little bit. But it doesn't mean your whole life has to change. And especially if you find someone compatible with you, somebody who's doing something similar. If you're artistic or creative, it's good to have somebody artistic and creative. But also, conversely, somebody who's creative might need somebody more stable to kind of stabilize them in some way and bring some kind of order and organization. So, I think that really the main message, I just wanted to make sure I'd covered everything. I think the main message here is, if you truly don't want somebody in your life, then that is well and good. But if it's because you're afraid of getting hurt, please take the risk. Just ask God to open up your heart to love and bring somebody loving inside it. It will God creates miracles. He's a miracle worker. But if you shut the door and if you don't ask, you're not going to receive. And like I say, you're going to get the same result all the time. I'm the Christian Relationship Counsellor. Please subscribe and share if you like my videos. And that's all for now. Thank you very much for listening. Bye-bye.